Welcome to this session. Today we are going to discuss about Export Quality Control and Inspection Act 1963. Before we start to discuss about this very important Export Quality Control and Inspection and 1963, it is important to discuss why this act came into existence, because in export trade the very important thing is the quality of the food products or other items which are exported. So, the importing country wants that whatever products they are receiving, they are as per their requirement. So, ensuring the quality and safety of the products which are exported from India to other country is very important. With this objective keeping in mind, this Export Quality Control and Inspection Act 1963, it was enacted by the Government of India and came into force with effect from 1st January 1964. And the objective of this act was to provide for the sound development of export trade of India through quality control and inspection. So, basically this act is involved in the development of export trade, but strictly through quality control and inspection. The Government of India is authorized or empowered under this act to subject the commodities to quality control or inspection or both prior to exports. It means that Government of India can notify which are the commodity will be subjected to quality control and inspection prior to export. Specify the type of quality control or inspection which are to be applied to the notified commodities. Establish, adopt or recognize standards, specifications for a notified commodity. Prohibit the export of notified commodity. It means that if a commodity which is exported is not as per the required quality measures, it can be prohibited. So, if we say that the prime objective or power under act is that once a commodity is notified under Export Quality Control and Inspection Act 1963, it cannot be exported unless it is accompanied by a certificate of export worthiness issued by an inspection agency recognized under the act. And if we see the in nutshell, to implement the provision of this Export Quality Control and Inspection Act, there is a organization, Export Inspection Council of India is existing. They are working with the objective that to facilitate the worldwide access to Indian exporters through sound, credible and efficient inspection, testing and certification system. So, Export Inspection Council is the India's official export inspection and certification body under administrative control of Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Export Inspection Council was established on 1st January 1964 under section 3 of the Act to implement the provision of this Export Quality Control and Inspection Act 1963. The prime function of the Export Inspection Council is to advise the central government regarding the measures to be taken for enforcement of compulsory quality control in relation to commodities intended for export and to draw up programs therefore, and to exercise the technical and administrative control over EIAs, which are export inspection agencies, in performing the inspection and certification activities. Export inspection agencies. These agencies were established in 1966 under section 7 of the Act. And the objective of establishing these EIA for the purpose of quality control and inspection of the commodities which are notified under the Act. The 5 EIAs were notified having their headquarters at Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Kochi and Chennai. Under the Act, the government is also empowered to recognize the pre-shipment inspection agency PIAs from time to time for specific products being exported from specific areas. So, if we see that 5 export inspection agencies were notified by the Government of India on 17 January 1966 and they were located at Delhi, Mumbai, Calcutta, Madras and Kochi. Subsequently, the name of these places also changed and accordingly the name of the EIAs have been changed. But in addition to these 5 headquarters, there are 30 sub-offices of the EIAs which are currently operating all over the India. And if you see the strategic location of these 30 sub-offices of EIS, they are located pan India, throughout the India in the maps, primarily on the export locations. If we go back in the pre-liberalization era, there were more than 958 commodities which were notified under EIC Act, and the EIC or EIS were authorized to carry out the compulsory pre-shipment inspection for these 958 commodities. And if you see the range of these notified commodity, it included almost every type of product: engineering, chemicals, footwears, textile, food, agriculture. So almost each and every item was included in terms of the pre-shipment inspection prior to export. But with the liberalization of the trade, the government also relaxed the conditions for the export, and several relaxations were granted with the liberalization of trade. And these relaxation included that IPQC approved unit, in process quality control approved units, were authorized to issue their own certificates of inspection. Trading house, star trading house and export houses, they were exempted for having the pre-shipment export certification for the notified commodity. Units set up in the export processing zone, free trade zones, and 100% export oriented units were also exempted. And in the situation where the exporters is having a firm letter to the effect that overseas buyer did not require pre-shipment inspection from any official inspection agency, could export the commodities without inspection. So these 3-4 relaxations were granted by the government of India to facilitate the trade in the liberalization era. But with the passage of time, when the WTO was established, the tariff came drastically low, and the countries started to use the sanitary and phytosanitary measure as a protection tool. The quality and the safety objectives took the driver's seat, and it was realized that there is a need to have a proper regulation of the product, primarily the food and agri products which are exported from India. So subsequently from 1995 onwards, different products were again brought into under compulsory inspection and certification. And if we see currently, the products which are under compulsory inspection and certifications, they are food and agri products. The products are marine products, milk products, egg products, honey, poultry meat products, meat and meat products, gelatin, osine and crust bones, animal casein, peanut and peanut products, feed additives and premixtures. So these products have been notified under compulsory inspection and certification. It means that these products cannot be exported from India unless until it is certified for quality and safety by EIC or EIS. In this export regulation of the commodities from India, the EIC or EIS provide the following services. If we see that EIC is the export regulatory body, so the prime objective of the EIC is to ensure that the product which is going from India to other country is meeting the importing country requirements. So that is the prime requirement, and to ensure that these are the services like certification of quality of export commodity through installation of food safety management system in the exporting unit, as well as the consignment wise inspection. So both type of provisions are available, CWI as well as food safety management system based certification. EIC or EIA also issue the health certificate and certificate of authenticity, primarily for basmati rice for the export purposes. Issuance of certificate of origin under various preferential tariff scheme is one of the major activity of EIC, EIS, and more than 90% of the certificate issued all over the country are issued by the EIS. Laboratory testing is also one of the major activity, and training and technical awareness means capacity building of all the stakeholders who are involved in the export is also one of the major activity of EIC, EIS. If we try to understand the 4 pillars of the quality control: regulation, inspection, testing and certifications. So these are the 4 pillars, and the EIC or EIS activities are primarily based on these 4 pillars. Regulation means whatever activities the EIC, EIAs are carrying out, they are based with legal framework. The act has been notified and rules and regulations have been framed. So, EIC or EIAs are operating based on those rules and regulations. Inspection is carried out as per the requirement, and the testing is very important part, because when we have to certify the product as per the importing country requirement, the testing play a very important role. The type of quality control and inspection the EIAs exercise is, one is the consignment wise certification. It is nothing but the and product based approach, because in this approach we are segregating the good or bad products. So, sample is drawn from the consignment and the testing of the representative sample is done, and if it is complying the requirement of the importing country, the certification is issued to the consignment. Food safety management system based certification. So, this approach is based on the system approach. The unit is approved based on the system established in the food safety management system, and then the certification is issued, means the unit is approved and they are allowed to export to the importing country. This food safety management system based approach focus on the food safety as well as the traceability, which is very important requirement these days primarily by the European Union. To ensure that the units, approved units are ensuring the requirements, there is a surveillance mechanism. There is a three-tier surveillance mechanism which is operated or implemented by the EIAs. Under this three-tier surveillance mechanism, monitoring visits are carried out, supervisory visits and corporate audit. Monitoring visit is nothing but the officials of the EIAs on monthly basis or at a lesser frequency depending on the performance of the approved unit carry out regular monitoring. It means that the officers from the EIA in which jurisdiction the unit approved unit fall, they go on regular basis, and this frequency can be reduced if there is a complaint or the unit is on alert. The frequency can be on 15 days or lesser than that also. So, it depend on the performance of the unit. Supervisory visits are carried out by an officer of the level of deputy director. It means that higher level officers goes to the unit for inspection, and their objective is to ensure that means monitoring visit they carried out, whether the objections or observations of that monitoring visits have been implemented or not. So, it is a check on the monitoring visits. Corporate audits. Audit of each agency is carried out under the corporate audit mechanism by the EIC at a frequency of once every year, with the twin objective of checking compliance, whether the unit is working as per the requirement, and the second objective is to ensure the effectiveness of the system under which EIAs are carrying out the monitoring and supervisory visits. Residue monitoring plan is also one of the requirement of the importing countries. Primarily the European Union in their legislation has made this requirement of having the residue monitoring plan. The objective of RMPs are to establish a system for monitoring residue of drugs, pesticides and heavy metals in the concerned commodities. It could be raw material, processing units and in the final products. To establish a system for corrective action in the event of detection of residue levels higher than those established through RMP, to ensure that the product exported from India to the importing country does not contain residues in excess of the prescribed limits. So, under this RMP plan is prepared and the plan is sent to the European Union. Once they approve the plan, the samples are run under the residue monitoring plans based on the plan approved, and the results are shared with the European Union. As we said that the laboratory infrastructure is very important pillar for the quality control, and EIC has 4 major laboratories at Chennai, Kochi, Kolkata and Mumbai. All these 4 laboratories are NABL accredited as per ISO 17025. Other than these 4 NABL accredited laboratories, there are 12 sub-offices EIAs which have the basic laboratory facility to carry out the testing. The EIC is planning to have a state-of-art laboratory at Delhi also. Other than these own laboratories, the EIC has a laboratory recognition scheme 2010, under which different laboratories, private laboratories are recognized as per the criteria laid down in the schemes. Primarily these laboratories are recognized to carry out the testing as per the importing country requirement. Means the exporting unit can take the help of these recognized laboratories also for testing their products. These are some of the pictures of the laboratory equipments which are available in the state of art laboratories of EIC, EIS. When it comes to the certification part, the certification for export is also issued and the e-health certification also has been started by EIC, EIS. It means that the exporter can apply online for the health certification request and he or she can track the status of the health certification, and it is electronically issued and the printout is taken and on a stationery and physically signed by the officers. EIC or EIS have got a very robust mechanism for handling the non-compliance. In case of any non-compliance or any complaint is received from the importing country, the particular unit from which the export was done is placed under the alert. It means the unit will be on high frequency of monitoring. The officer from the concerned EIA will carry out the investigation. It could be investigation of the processing unit as well as the laboratory, because there could be the problem in the testing aspect also. A show cause notice is issued and they carried out the root cause analysis, means what was the problem and why this non-compliance has come into pictures. After the root cause has been analyzed, the corrective action is taken, including, and it could be possible that restriction on the production can also be imposed if required. After the corrective action, verification is done and proper surveillance of the unit is done. In situation where it is required, recall of the product can also be done and properly disposed of. Primarily the mechanism of handling non-compliance or the complaint is to take action that there is a no reoccurrence of the same situation. Certificate of origin, which is one of the another major activity of EIC, EIS. If we try to understand the preferential certificate of origin, they are the important financial instrument to promote the trade, as they allow the originating products to enter the market of the importing country either by paying no duty or by paying duty at a rate less than the MFN rate. MFN stands for the most favored nation rate. So the EIC, EIS currently operates certificate of origin under 15 preferential trade agreements. So these are the trade agreements. These are either the bilateral trade agreements or some regional arrangement. Under these arrangements, the Government of India or Department of Commerce, we can say that they have authorized EIC, EIA to sign the certificate of origin. Under these certificate of origin, if we see the process, the exporter apply for certificate of origin under the scheme under which its product fall. They will go to the nearest EIA office. They can fill the application form online, or they can deposit the fee also through online system, and they will approach to the EIA along with the paper printout. The officer in the EIA, they will verify whether the products based on the documents given by the exporters and the declaration whether the product meets the origin criteria, and once the officer is satisfied, they sign the certificate of origin. The signatures of the officials of the EIC, EIS are shared with the importing countries, and they are in a very good position to verify that whether these are the authentic certificates or is there any fraud. Means in case of any doubt, the importing country can ask for the post verification of these certificate of origin, and there is a duly laid down procedure to respond to the post verification inquiries. So, and one important thing is that these certificate of origin, preferential certificate of origin, are issued on the secured stationery, and only EIC is authorized to print these stationaries, and to other agencies these papers are or application forms are distributed by the EIC EIAs only. Another important aspect of the trade is recognition arrangement, because if we want to understand the recognition arrangement, the basis principle of this recognition arrangement is the equivalence, because the system in one country could be different from the other country. Similarly, the sanitary or phytosanitary measure in one country could be different in another country. The important aspect is the level of protection. So, if an exporting country is able to meet the objective of level of protection of an importing country through some other means also, that measure should be taken as a equivalence. And the recognition arrangements play an important role, means these are the important risk management tool in the pre-border areas. Under these recognition arrangements, what happens? The trading partners rely on the inspection and certification system of EIC. So, these recognition arrangements could be like product specific also, or these recognition arrangement could be overall system based approach also. When the importing country recognize the EIC certification system, it provides various facilities, means to avoid the duplication of inspection and testing efforts. It means the trade facilitation, transaction costs are reduced, and ultimately the export is promoted. If we see the current list of the countries who have recognized the recognition system of EIC, these are the European Union, Russian Federation, China, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Sri Lanka, Bhutan. So, they have kept reliance on the EIC certification system, but they are free to carry out the testing or control as per their requirement also. The only thing is that recognition arrangement provide a facility that the frequency of control is reduced. This is the recent MOU which was signed by EIC and the Bhutan organization BAFRA, under which it has been the BAFRA has recognized the EIC certification system, and once the product is certified by EIC EIA, it is allowed to export it to the Bhutan very easily. It means the product is meeting the Bhutan requirement. Recently in 2015, EIC signed an MOU with US FDA also. This is a cooperation arrangement under which the objective is that both the organization work together to have a confidence building exercise so that they can move to one step further in terms of recognizing the EIC certification system. So, we can say that we can see that the EIC is one of the important organization which is working since last 50 years to facilitate the export trade of India. Thank you.